Hey, thanks for checking out this podcast. Our hope is that it's an encouragement to you, that it builds your faith, that it helps you be a better leader and a better influencer in and through your life. If this is helpful to you, we'd love you to subscribe and also share it with somebody else to encourage them too. Thanks.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas! I want to welcome everybody to our VC podcast. And we're talking about community right now.
Absolutely. This is our second part on our series in community. Last week we talked all about why community is so important. This week we want to help you gain some tools about how to enter into community.
Yes, we do. That'd be fantastic. So let's start the cameras now. You can get things going, guys. No, I'm just kidding. We've already started.
Yeah,
so we're good to go. Mm-hmm. And you knew I was joking. See?
Totally.
See, because we
know each other. We have community.
Community. We're building this.
Yeah. So, first of all, I just want to say and reiterate, community is so vital for us as people who follow Jesus and human beings in general. We need people.
Yes.
So last week we talked all about that and how vital it is that we be in community. And you might be thinking that's a bit hard. This week we want to give you some tools that would make it possible. I'm not saying that they're not going to be hard or that our tools are going to help it be easy, but it may be a little less hard.
It'll help.
And it'll be doable.
Yeah.
It'll be doable.
Because community is essential, right? For human flourishing, for Christian life. We talked about that.
Yep.
So then it's like, okay, well, if I have to, then how to, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully we've built the want to.
Yep.
And now we've got to build the how to, because even if you want something really bad, but you don't know how to get it, you're going to have a really hard time.
Absolutely.
So the want to is essential. So if you don't have the want to, the how to is pointless. Nobody cares.
Absolutely.
But once you have the want to, then you got to dive in. So here we go.
100%.
What do you do to build community?
Number one is be brave. Be brave. What we mean by that is that we need to take initiative. We need to identify the areas that community exists, that we want to jump into, and we need to be brave enough to act. We need to be brave enough to find the spot and go. I think oftentimes we are in our heads too much, or we're so in our heads we don't see the opportunities. So being brave is all about looking up and looking around, seeing where are the areas that I can plug into, and be brave enough to try, be brave enough to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think be brave enough to be transparent.
Wow.
To open up, get vulnerable, right? And every step forward in a relationship takes a level of just doing that bravery.
Right.
So whether it's initiating contact with somebody, whether it's taking a risk on being rejected, and all of these different pieces, whether it's just going to a get together.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think with community, when it comes to being brave, it doesn't mean that it just means be brave to do the next step.
Right.
So when it comes to being brave to the next step, some of us, we go to church, we go to a group, but we don't go deep. We don't have intimate relationships. We're not vulnerable with people. Yep. Maybe being brave means opening up to somebody.
Right.
Or being brave means going to church for the first time.
Right.
Or being brave might mean you say hello to the person pouring you coffee.
Right.
Our brave all looks different. Our next step all looks different, and it takes a sense of courage to go.
I love it.
Yeah.
So do the next brave thing.
Do the next brave thing. Yeah.
And you'll take a step forward in community. That's one of the how-tos. Is just get brave. Do that. And let me say too, because for each of us, our next brave move is different. For all of us, it's hard.
Right.
There's no so sometimes we're like, yeah, that's easy for that person, or that's easy for that person. Well, for them, their next brave move isn't going to be easy.
Right.
Right. And so. We're not saying everybody needs to do the same brave act.
Yeah.
For all of us, it's something different. But it's just saying, I'm going to take the next courageous step forward in building relationships.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I always think of when it comes to this is I had a friend that I worked with. I used to work in a program where I would be a mentor to youth with autism. And this particular guy, he was so sweet. Whenever he had something that was really challenging for him, like social situations were hard for him, going down a slide was scary for him, and he would always tell me, he would always talk to himself, first of all. His parents taught him this. His parents taught him whenever he's about to do something difficult or hard, he would say, be brave, be brave.
Right.
Be brave.
Yeah.
And then he would go and talk to some person, or he would go down that big slide.
Yeah.
But he actually taught me that. I'm like, man, I should tell myself to be brave sometimes.
Yes.
Instead of telling myself all the challenges, I should tell myself to be brave. I should tell myself the positive. And so for me, whenever I think of that next big step of courage, I always think, be brave, Jeremy, be brave. So that's a story that really helped me.
Love it. It's so helpful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Number 2.
Number 2.
Be intentional. Be
Okay.
intentional. This means you got to work at it. You have to be intentional. What this means is the first time you talk to somebody, or the first time you go to a group, or the first time you do anything, that first time does not give you what a long-term engagement with community will give you. What I mean by that is your first night won't be your best night.
Right.
You won't reap all the rewards all at once. Your first conversation, you won't think, finally, I've had community. You have to be intentional.
Yep.
It's not going to pay off all at once.
Right.
And being engaged in a part of community over the course of a long period of time, that's where you'll reap the most rewards.
Yep.
That's where you'll feel seen. That's where you'll feel known. It's over time. It's not all at once.
Right. So you're sowing seeds.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
And you're thinking, where do I imagine the future going, and how do I sow seeds today that will help me get there in the future? And that's what intentionality is. You're moving purposefully in a direction. So, and really, we don't go anywhere good without intentionality.
Amen.
Right? Everything good is uphill, we always say, right? And so you've got to consciously move towards that. So
Absolutely.
Good friendships, spiritual friendships even. I find this a lot in my relationships. If I just let things naturally happen, the spiritual will not enter my relationships. Right?
Wow.
So I have to be, like, in my marriage, with my kids, with my friendships, with our staff here at the church, with, everywhere. If I don't intentionally bring God into that relationship, by drift, by nature, it won't happen. And this is the key to intentionality, is we somehow deceive ourselves to think that it's going to happen all by itself.
Yeah.
It'll happen naturally. Like, if this friendship's meant to be, it'll just take place.
Right.
And that's just, the reality is, all good things take focus, effort, energy to move in that direction.
Absolutely. So if right now you're not experiencing community in the depth that you feel like you need to experience it, in the way that you want to experience it, you have to go out of your way to find it. And I think a huge piece of that is your expectations, right? So when you go into a place where community is, you actually have to go out of your way to be a part of that community in a meaningful way. What that means is you have to go out of your way and be intentional consistently.
Take some steps towards
Eventually it will feel like breathing, by the way.
Right.
Eventually it will feel like breathing.
So it's learning a new skill.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to be bad at it
Yeah.
in order to get good at it. And the older we get, often the harder this gets for us.
Totally.
So at a young age, we can sometimes think, well, that's normal. You're bad at it and you'll learn.
Yeah.
The older we get, the less we're comfortable with sucking again,
Sure, yeah.
So I was talking to somebody this week who went to a pottery class where they're learning how to mold clay.
Wow.
Well, they were just like, I felt like an idiot. I couldn't make the thing do anything worthwhile, and it just kept breaking on me, and kept, this and that, and I had to throw the clay away, and I it's like I'm a 4-year-old again. But those are the steps towards proficiency, right? For all of us.
Yeah.
So that's part of the intentional journey, is to say, I'm going to take a few steps. I'm going to learn some things. It's not all going to go perfect. I'm going to take some more steps. You build along the way.
Yeah, and I think a piece of that for this, I think this is a great example. Our church is launching small groups soon, and we have these flyers in seats. I think at least one of us sat in a chair, looked at the small group paper, put it down, and thought, man, I'm not really connecting in community in this church.
Yeah.
But they didn't read this. They didn't read the pamphlet, maybe,
Sure.
or they thought this is neat, but it's not for me.
Not for me.
First of all, it is for you.
Yeah.
We would love for everyone in our church to be a part of a community like a small group.
Yeah.
An initiative means texting the number on the paper, going and talking to somebody, getting involved. Like, you actually have to go out of your chair to engage with that.
Yep.
And I think that's a great, if anyone's listening here and thinks, man, I'm not engaging a community like I want to, I would consider if small groups is a good fit for you. Reach out to Gord.
Yeah.
Gord is such a great guy, and he would love to chat with you and try to put in your life a small group community.
So good. So you be brave,
Yep.
and then you be intentional, which maybe a different way to say that is work at it.
Work at it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if in my marriage, if I've got an area that I'm not satisfied with, or I wish
Yep.
it was better, I got to be brave. Then I got to actually say, what am I going to do, right?
Yep.
How am I going to work at
Yep.
this?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay.
The bravery that's worth it is the one that you go to over and over again and decide bravery.
right.
It's the one where you go to over and over again and decide to do the hard thing over and over again. That's where real life change happens.
It's awesome.
Anyone can be brave once. But I think where life change happens is where you consistently decide to be brave in that area.
Yeah. Sometimes
Decide
you
to
fall
reach
down,
out.
get back up.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Be
So
brave.
number 1, be brave. Number 2, be intentional. Number 3, expect to pour in more than you get out. Talk to us
Okay.
about this one.
Well, this is the key to relationships, right? Because when we enter relationships to get,
Right.
we will always be disappointed, hurt. we will drain other people.
Yep.
Just all these things, So in any relationship and every relationship, go into it with the desire to pour in more than you get out.
Yeah. You want to be a contributor and not a consumer.
Exactly. And it's just
Right.
everywhere. Like employees. You're an employee at a job.
Yep.
Be worth more than you're paid.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
Expect to pour in more than you take out. And then what? Then you're a excellent employee. You're a valued employee. Wow,
Sure.
right? Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to take out. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're not
Yep.
going to be blessed. It doesn't mean
Yep.
that there's not right relationships, and we need boundaries for those things, and
Right.
we need to be careful, all of that. But at the core of every relationship
Right.
is that I enter it as a giver, as
Absolutely.
a one who came to bless. Or you know what
Absolutely.
the other word we use for that? Love. Right? That's what love does. Love takes no interest in itself,
Wow.
but is interested in others.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think oftentimes when you be the kind of community that you want to see around you,
Yes.
you become contagious, first of all.
Yeah.
And 2, you tend to receive it.
Right.
Kind of naturally. As you pour in, you naturally kind of receive what you pour in a bunch of ways. And it fulfills you.
So good.
We should do a podcast on serving
Yeah.
pretty soon here.
Yeah.
Maybe after our prayer series. But
Sure.
I think so much life is given when we pour out more than we receive. Funny enough, I think we receive a lot more than we expect when we give.
Yes.
You feel satisfied and you feel well when you pour into a community.
You do. You know what? It's actually my life mission. My life mission statement is to invest my life in others.
Wow.
And that's what I want to do. I want to live to give. And I am a long ways from it. The reason it's my life mission is because I need
Right.
to work at it. And
Yeah.
I don't come by it naturally. But the goal is in every relationship, with my children and my parents.
Wow.
Expect to pour in more than I take out. With my friendships, with my church, with my pastor, with my person I'm serving, with the person who's serving me, with a stranger on the street, just that I always have this attitude that I want to bless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this can come up with community. So here's a big tip for anybody with this. What pouring in more than you take out looks like sometimes is listening more.
Yeah, good.
Because when you listen to someone be vulnerable with you, and then in return you too are vulnerable, there's something more special about that than if we come to a place always expecting to be helped but not help others.
Right.
So in a small group discussion or in a coffee, a good tip is ask 5 questions before you talk about yourself.
Yes.
They could be little questions. How's your day going?
Love it.
How is this aspect of your life going?
It's so good. Be interested in them.
Be interested in others.
Actually care.
Yeah.
Be present. These are all ways that we pour into a relationship.
Yeah.
We listen to that instead of coming with my agenda. I come wondering, what's your agenda?
Yep.
Right? What could you need today?
When you show a genuine interest in others, people will show a genuine interest in you as well.
Exactly.
And that's huge. I know we talked about that with our discipleship series a little while back, but it applies so much here as well to when we're engaging in community. Is when we are interested in the good of the individuals around us or the group wider, when we're genuinely interested in them and act upon that interest, the community will usually in turn do the same for you.
Yeah.
And at the very least, you'll influence them to do the same for others.
So yeah, I may have said this on a podcast before, and I'm not going to get the quote exactly right, but you can win more friends in 2 hours being interested in others than you can in 2 weeks trying to get others interested in you.
Absolutely.
And that's a Dale Carnegie quote, but that's
huge.
the, and so that's, and it's not, again, I don't want to give the impression that we aren't receiving and that we don't need friendships and we don't need relationships.
Absolutely.
So I go to small group, I do need it.
Absolutely.
And I am going saying, man, I need community and I need friends and I need people to hold me accountable and encourage me and so on. But the way I'm going to get those things is by going into them to give those things.
And here's the thing, if you go and you just want to get helped instead of helping others, if you just go that way, it'll work for a couple weeks.
Right.
It won't work long time.
Not for the long haul.
You need to be pouring back into the group atmosphere as much as you take out, or else you won't last long there, or the group won't last long.
Yeah.
But that's another day.
So
for
we
another
always
thing.
want to be high impact, low maintenance as much as possible.
Spread that out for me.
Yeah,
Talk to me
and
about
not the other way around, right?
Yeah.
None of us want to be high maintenance, low impact. Right?
Yeah.
And in fairness, we're all at different spaces in life. We all go through different seasons. There are some days where we're carrying a burden too heavy to carry for ourselves.
Right.
And we just need help. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
on those days, declare your need and let others help you. But at the same time, I think it's wrong of us to just say, well, I'm just a needy person. I think sometimes we get an identity around ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we were talking money instead of friendship, some people could be like, well, I'm just on the poorer spectrum, so I'm not really a giver. It's like, no. No matter how rich or poor we are, we're all givers.
Yeah.
That's who we're called to be. And so, I think sometimes we can get this sort of needy mentality about ourselves.
Yeah.
And then it affects how we relate everywhere. So there's two sides to this. On one side, I want to be the kind of person who will receive when I should be receiving. When the burden's too heavy to carry, when I do have needs, when I'm hurting, I will go ask for help and I will receive help. And I won't be like, oh, I don't want to be high maintenance, I'm just going to hold it to myself. No, there are times when you will be high maintenance and you should be. But we're all aiming towards high impact, low maintenance. We're all aiming towards being a blessing.
Absolutely.
And no matter if that's what we call a one talent level of blessing, there's a biblical story from Matthew 25 of the talents, or a 5 talent level of blessing, the point is still the same. My heart, my goal is to love, to serve, to bless.
Right.
Changes your relationships.
And a quick asterisk for anyone here listening who says, that sounds great, I always love to give more than I receive. I don't want anyone to deal with my problems. You have to do both.
Yeah.
Because when you don't open up and talk about your issues, you don't get helped.
Right.
So you need both. You need both.
Good community is give and take.
Give and take,
Right.
So you need to trust the people around you to care for you well enough and be vulnerable, because anyways.
Yeah, my favorite definition of community. Here's a good spot to put it.
Okay, yeah.
To know and be known.
Oh.
To love and be loved. To serve and be served.
Yeah.
So to know and be known, to love and be loved, to serve and be served.
Yeah.
And so it's first to know you, then to be known by you. First, right? So it's both and.
Yeah. Awesome.
I love it, man.
So number 1, be brave. Number 2, be intentional. Number 3, expect to pour in more than you get out.
Okay.
Number 4, and this is the last one.
Number 4.
And this might, I don't know, get ready for this one.
Okay.
Do stuff.
Do stuff.
Just do stuff.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Stuff. Get involved.
Okay, yeah.
When you get invited to somewhere, just go.
Right.
Just go and do stuff. Get involved. Serve in an area. Serve in another area. Go to our prayer evenings in January. Go to our Christmas Eve service.
Okay, you're preaching to me, because you know what happens in my life is I experience inertia inertia.
Ooh, that's a property of matter. Bill Nye taught me that.
I don't know. It's hard to sometimes step out and do stuff. You know, sometimes it's like I just don't want motion for a little bit. Just leave me alone.
Yeah,
just want to hide out.
Yeah.
And I need to be reminded, like, well, let's do stuff.
Yep.
Right? Let's go. And you know, again, there's moments where you need breaks, and there's moments to stop, and all of that, and that's
and
an
not
important
everything
part of
needs
life.
to be an all the time thing. You don't need to go to a thing forever.
Right.
But if you want to find stuff, you got to start throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks.
You got to get out there.
Yeah. If you want to meet people, go to stuff.
Go. And you know, every event is different.
Yep.
So I might go to a school, my kids' school welcome day.
Yep.
I'm just gonna meet a bunch of strangers.
Yep.
But that's good. And
Yeah.
then I might go to a Christmas concert.
Yep.
It's a different thing.
Yep.
And then I might go to a bake sale where I'm
Right.
baking.
Yep.
Well, then I'm really gonna get to know more people because I'm actually, you know, standing at the table selling stuff and that, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I might go to a small group or to a Bible study or to a class
Right.
on a certain topic.
Right.
But the point is, you know, movie night. The point is, I'm doing stuff.
Yep.
And the more I do, the more opportunities I have, the more moments I have where connection can happen.
Yeah, if you want to find community opportunities, go and do stuff. I can promise you that just about almost everything that Victory puts on,
Yep.
secondary element is community. Sometimes
Right.
a primary element, usually the secondary.
Yes.
A primary is spiritual growth, reaching people.
Yep.
Number two, strong number two is
Yep.
community.
Yeah.
Like in January, this coming month, we're going to be doing something every Sunday for 3 weeks where we meet together and we pray. Starting on
Right.
January 9th for
Right.
three Sundays, we're going to be meeting here and we're praying for our year.
Yep.
And if you're looking for community, go to that.
Yeah.
Go to that. That's the heart of our church's year, is us praying together, being together, asking God to be with us as we go. You want to engage in community, go to that.
Totally.
You want to engage in community? If you're a young adult, go to young adults.
Yes.
Serve in Kidsmen, serve in our tech teams, serve in our host teams. There's so many opportunities. It is a buffet of community engagements.
I love it.
Pick stuff and try them.
And it's not, you don't go thinking like it worked or it didn't work.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I went to community badminton. That's one of the things I do, right? And I didn't meet anyone, so I guess it doesn't work. It's like, well, no. If I expose myself to enough experiences and enough places, I'm going to have friendships and connections I wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yep.
And I will look back and thank God for those.
Yep.
If I don't go and expose myself to all those different places and get to those places, and I'm not going to have those opportunities, and they won't be there. So,
Yeah.
you know, I always think with church services, you never know which Sunday is going to be the Sunday that your life was totally transformed and God
Right.
moved. So be there every week,
Yep.
and you know those Sundays will happen in your
Yep.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, if you hope to catch rain,
Right.
wait outside a little while.
Right.
Does it rain every day? No.
Yeah.
But it's not going to rain inside.
Yeah.
So-
you got to get there.
Yep.
Okay, and you know what? It's kind of a funny thing to say, just do stuff, but there it is. It's
Yeah.
so simple.
Yep. And practice what we talked about just now. You know, when thinking about doing stuff, here's what I should think about. I should be brave, I should be intentional, and I should pour out more than I get. I should
Right.
pour out more than I get out.
Yeah.
And so that pour in, I should say.
Yeah. And as I'm doing
it's
that,
important.
I'll get out there doing stuff. You know, I'll be doing those things, and lo and behold, I'll look at my life and go, hey, I value the community that is being built here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, we are really grateful to walk with you with this podcast. You know, I'm really grateful to have an outlet to kind of talk about these things and really help people find some tools for their toolbox and how to live this Christian life out. And so if you're listening and this has helped you at all, feel free to leave us a note or you know, reach out to us. We'd love to help you plug into community if that's what you want. But thank you guys so much. Yeah, thank you so much.
Good. Awesome.
Awesome. Have a great week, everybody.